Hello, third grade. So today we're going to work on the learning objective that we can differentiate between shapes and forms. So what we're going to do is we're going to use flat 2D shapes to create a three-dimensional form. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose some construction paper. You can choose all different colors for your form, or you can choose to stick with just one color. And you need to have at least 4 papers. You can have more than 4, but you need to have at least 4. So I have 5 here. And what I want you to do is pick one of the geometric shapes to start with, and you're going to trace around it on the colored paper. And then you're going to cut it out. Now, I like to save time, so I stack my papers together. Now, if you have too many papers, like this is 5 and it's cutting okay, but if you have too many papers, you're not going to be able to cut neatly. So you're going to, if you want to do more than just 4 or 5, then you're going to maybe need to do 2 stacks of them. So I might need to do, let's say I wanted to do 10. I might need to do a stack of 5 and a stack of 5 and do them separate and cut them out. But it's a good idea to cut all of the papers out at the same time so that your geometric shapes, your 2D shapes, are all the same. And you want to do it very neatly. And then you can decorate each one of these before you assemble them into a form. And you could take a fine tipped marker and you could do some sort of patterns on them. You could draw different things on them. Make sure you use a marker that works. This marker isn't working very well. And you could do the same thing on each circle, or you could do something different. If you don't want to use a pen, construction paper crayons look really nice on the dark colored papers, and they'll show up bright and vibrant. So you would do these patterns on all of your shapes, and they could be different or the same, completely up to you. Then you're going to take and fold the shapes in half with the patterns on the inside of the fold. And you want to fold them in half very neatly. And then you're going to start gluing the halves together. So these are semicircles. So you're going to put a frame of glue. You don't want to put it too close to the edge because it'll squirt out. And then you take the next one and you put them together. And this is why you want to fold or cut them out at the same time so that the edges match up. You also want to match up the folds here and make sure they're straight. I'm looking close to make sure all these are lining up nicely. So I have one more. And you want to give the glue a little bit of time to get sticky, to set up. So give it a little time to get sticky and not be so wet that the pieces are sliding around. And then the way that you're going to turn these 2D shapes into a 3D shape is you're going to finally bring these last 2 tabs together, and then here you have a 3D form. So we're differentiating between a flat 2D shape and a 3D form. And so there's your form. And you can do this with any symmetrical geometric shape. Any symmetrical. It needs to be symmetrical because you're folding it in half. Now another thing that you could do is, if you wanted, you could hang these. So before you glue your last tab together, you could take a little bit of string or yarn and you could put this inside. I'm going to put a little glue right there. You could put this inside the fold and then close that. And that's kind of off to one side, so I need to kind of open this up and get this yarn down there into the center of my form. There we go. And then just close the flap up and it could be hung up. You could make a string of these. You could get a long piece of yarn and lay it down through the middle of each one, and then they could just be one after another hung there. Okay. So then you could do, after you do one, then do another one, a different shape. So here I have 1, 2, 3, I have 7 papers. So I'm going to do 2 separate stacks, and I think I'll do triangles. So to save me a little time of tracing, I'll put one flat side down on the bottom edge of the paper so I don't have to trace or cut that side. That's going to save me some time. And these need to be stacked together, cut at the same time so that they're all cut out the same way. And then you would decorate these and then fold each one in half. So this is going to be tricky folding the point up here. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom to match those sides up, and then crease here and then pull my finger down so that I get a nice point here. If I try to fold in half this tiny little space up here at the tippy top, that's too hard to do it neatly. So I'm going to start at the bottom, line those corners up, those ends, then crease at the bottom and then pull my finger down. And then again, a frame of glue that's not too close to the edge. And then you want to line up these folds. And let's say you want to do the string, where you would string all of them up together. So then you would take and put the string through, all the way through. I'm going to leave this like the top part before you closed up your shape. And there's your form for your cone or your triangle. I didn't put a lot of glue up here at the top because I didn't want it to squirt out, but the top of this isn't wanting to stay closed, so I'm going to add a touch of glue up here, and then I'm going to push this together and hold. It'll also help to keep the string from sliding through the shape from one end to the other. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry. See that it's still attached to the string, so now I'll do a square one and attach it to show you how you could attach more than one to one string. Okay, I could fit 2 squares across, so I went ahead and did that so I don't waste paper, and I'll just have more of a form, more pieces to my form. So remember, we're differentiating between shapes and forms. So we're using 2D flat geometric shapes, and then we're folding them to create a 3D form. Okay, and so now I want to attach it to the triangle. So now the string that's through the triangle, I put it through the square, and then I close this up. Now, you might want to add a little bit of glue on your string, otherwise your string's going to move up and down on your piece. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue here on top of the yarn or the string, so that it stays in place right there. And so then now I have the square and the triangle strung up on a string, and I could, if I didn't glue the loop on the top of this, I could add that, and then I could do the rectangle. I haven't done the rectangle yet. I could do the rectangle. We're taking 2D geometric shapes and we are creating a 3D form.